There are teachers who educate with knowledge. There are mentors who guide through stern life lessons. And then, there are teachers who never utter a single word, yet somehow shape our hearts, mold our character, and leave an everlasting mark on our souls. Today I want to tell you the story of such a man who never once spoke to me, yet taught me more than any textbook, lecture, or speech ever could. He was my father. I grew up in a small countryside village, the kind where the houses were built with thatched roofs and wooden beams, and where morning sunlight poured through the bamboo fences as roosters crowed in the distance. Our home was humble. We didn't have much, but we had each other, and we had him, my father, a quiet man with sun-worn skin, a weathered face, and a pair of gentle eyes. He had been mute since he was 5 years old after a terrible fever stole his voice. From then on, he lived in silence. No words, no laughter, no shouting. But strangely, he never felt incomplete to me. It was only much later that I realized his silence was never emptiness. It was strength. When I was a child, I never questioned why he couldn't talk. He didn't need to. When I fell while learning to walk, he didn't scold. He simply picked me up, patted the dirt from my knees, and smiled. When it rained, he waited outside my school, soaked from head to toe, holding an old straw hat to shield me from the downpour. He never said "I love you," but every act of his, every quiet gesture, was love in its purest form. He taught me with his hands, not his voice. He taught me resilience, patience, sacrifice, not with lectures, but by living them. As I grew older, I began to pull away. I was ashamed. While my friends spoke proudly of their father's advice, their words of encouragement, their guidance, I had none of that. My father didn't say a thing. I remember asking my mother in frustration one day, "Why doesn't Dad learn to write, or sign, or at least try to talk to me somehow?" She looked at me for a long moment, then said softly, "He may not know letters, but he knows how to love you, in his own way." I didn't understand her then. Not until the day I got accepted into university. That morning, as I was leaving for the city, he walked up behind me. He didn't hug me, didn't wave. He just pressed an old handkerchief into my hand and walked away. Inside the cloth was a crumpled piece of paper. With shaking, barely legible handwriting, it read, "No matter where you go, always remember the way back home." I sat on the bus and cried like a child. That one sentence, broken, misshapen, full of effort, said more than 1,000 perfect words ever could. Years passed. I moved to the city, built a career, got married. Life got busy. Calls home became fewer, visits even rarer. But he never changed. Even in his silence, he was always there, sending rice, herbs, small gifts through the bus station, always with the same message, though never written again. "Remember the way back home. Now I am a father myself. When my son runs to me shouting, 'Daddy,' when he asks endless questions, when he wraps his tiny arms around me, I smile, but deep inside I ache, because I realize now I never got to do that. I never got to shout 'Dad' across a playground. Never got a whispered 'I'm proud of you.' Never had those heart-to-heart conversations late at night. But in return, I got something else, something deeper. A father who never raised his voice, who never told me what to do, yet taught me how to live, how to love, how to endure, just by being present. A few months ago, I went home. He's old now. His hands tremble, his steps are slower, his eyes dimmer. But when I walked through the door, he looked up and smiled that same smile he always had. We sat together on the porch. The wind rustled the leaves. A faint smell of cooked rice drifted from the kitchen. He didn't say anything. He didn't need to. I reached out and held his hand. Rough, calloused, familiar. For the first time in my life, I didn't wish he could talk, because I finally understood everything he'd been saying without saying a word. My father never spoke, but I've been listening to him all my life. There are kinds of love that don't need sound. There are teachers who don't need a classroom. There are fathers who never say, "I love you," but whose every step, every breath is love. If you're still listening, Maybe you're thinking about your own father right now. Maybe he's still with you, maybe he's not. But if this story stirred something in your heart, call him, visit him, thank him, even if all you say is, I've always been listening, even when you didn't say a word. And if this story touched you, please like this video to honor the quiet love of fathers everywhere. Share it so that someone else might remember the father they've taken for granted. And if this story touched you, please like this video to honor the quiet love of fathers everywhere. Share it so that someone else might remember the father they've taken for granted. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this, stories that don't shout, but stay with you long after they've ended.